Welcome to the BuyBox Experts podcast. We bring to light the unique opportunities brands face in today's e-commerce world.
Hi, I'm James Thompson, one of the hosts for the BuyBox Experts podcast. I'm a partner with BuyBox Experts and formerly the business head for the Selling on Amazon team at Amazon. I'm the co-author of the book, Controlling Your Brand in the Age of Amazon, and co-founder of Prosper Show, one of the largest continuing education conferences for sellers in North America. Today's episode is brought to you by BuyBox Experts. BuyBox Experts takes ambitious brands and makes them unbeatable. When you hire BuyBox Experts, you receive the strategy optimization and marketing performance to succeed on Amazon. BuyBox Experts is the only agency that combines executive-level advisory services with expert performance management and execution of your Amazon channel strategy. Go to BuyBox Experts to learn more. Our guest today is Bobby Figuero. Bobby is the founder and CEO of Gradient.io, an intelligent insights platform for Amazon, helping brands to understand and optimize their digital point-of-sale presence. Bobby has over 20 years of experience building technology for digital marketing and e-commerce platforms at Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Yahoo. I don't think there's any other platforms out there. You've been to all of them. So prior to joining Gradient, Bobby led Amazon's global advertising operations team and is a P&G alum where he started his professional career as a brand manager. Bobby's bringing his expertise to us today, sharing best practices on how brands are using online advertising and data to grow their businesses. So welcome, Bobby, and thank you for joining us today on the BuyBox Experts podcast.
Thank you, James. A pleasure to be here.
Bobby, I'd like to start our discussion today by getting your thoughts on how you've seen brands evolve the way that they use advertising online over the past 20 years. You've had a very unusual opportunity to work at 4 of the largest online advertising platforms. Tell me what you're seeing. Tell me about the sophistication and change in the way that brands think about advertising online.
Thank you, James. Again, it's a pleasure to be here, and big fan of the work that you and BuyBox Experts have been doing in helping brands succeed within Amazon. In terms of evolution, how has the brands evolved in the last few years? The way I think about it is there's been multiple iterations of online advertising. And going back to, I basically call them, I start with 1.0. So what was 1.0? This is really when advertising within online started to become. And this is where we saw a lot of display advertising happening. And basically the initial movement of those budgets that were typically spent in the traditional offline mediums into online. You saw a good number of new platforms out there. It was the days of Yahoo, of AOL, MSN, lots of them selling precisely access to audiences through display advertising.
Yes.
The next iteration, and well, with that first iteration led from a impact brands from an evolution perspective this is where they were starting to learn about online audiences, consumers moving into online as one of their main areas of media consumption. And it was the promise of basically starting to build awareness through online. 2.0 I define it as the area when through more sophisticated platforms, brands were able to start connecting with audiences at the consideration stage. So 1.0 was at the awareness stage. 2.0 is the consideration stage.
Yes.
And what I mean by consideration is this is the era of search engines and social platforms. A consumer, a user of online services, telling a platform, I'm looking for something. I'm looking to learn about a specific area. Or telling a social network, my affinities. These are the things that I like. These are the things that I enjoy. And as such, the platforms were able to become to offer brands the ability to start connecting with these users at the moment of a particular mindset. So the first one again is just serendipity discovery. You see a new brand, you get awareness.
Mhm.
The second one is, hey, I'm already considering a particular set of services, and these are the platforms that allow us to do that. And from how brands basically had to interact with them, it meant starting to move from CPMs and buying impressions towards reaching millions of customers to paying on on auction platforms
Yes.
for
Yes.
the ability to basically translating all of this into a cost per click. So what is how much am I willing to pay for getting this particular customer to look at my offer or service relative to this consideration piece? And in the last couple years, I believe we've begun a new transition. Brands have started a new transition, which I like to call it's the e-commerce. It's the point of purchase marketing, and this is where budgets are now. Or platforms are offering the opportunity for brands to spend those budgets in reaching shoppers at the point of making a purchasing decision. So if you take a step back to the last 10, 15 years, there's been basically the evolution through what we all know as a traditional marketing funnel, going from high reach, broad awareness generation
Yes.
to
Yes.
the consideration stage to the actual point of or purchasing decision moment. Uh, right now, I think one of the most important stages for any brand is precisely the one that we're living in. This point of purchase one, as it is ultimately where, as marketeers, we've always wanted to make sure that we are able to get to that particular moment in time, because that's when a sale can happen, and that's what helps a brand build a business and hopefully do it in a profitable way.
So if you go back 5 years on Amazon, there was next to no advertising. And Amazon realized, wait a minute, there's an opportunity to generate a lot of revenue here. You were part of the early team that was building the Amazon advertising platform, changing the way that consumers on Amazon interact with brands. Tell us a little bit about some of the big types of choices that Amazon had to make as they moved from pure organic search into a model where paid search became a big component of key real estate on the search result page.
Well, let me start by saying, as you point out, I was fortunate enough to be part of that journey.
Yes.
It's one of the most humbling experiences. Being part of building what today it's now a very successful business for helping brands connect with shoppers in a very relevant way. And that's really I point to that because I think it's important to understand that Amazon being a very customer centric company, it's always been thought from an advertising perspective. What are the ways in which advertising can help improve that experience? And what was truly a very relevant way to connect with to allow brands to connect with shoppers and having the systems to do that was a very it happened in a very connected way. What I mean by connected is having customers, so shoppers that go to the site, the ability to discover new brands that they would have not been able to know of before, as well as to help with all the different signals in making making better decisions for in their everyday purchases. So 5 years ago there was definitely already a platform around display advertising, so brands could go in and transact by finding these elements of display advertising within Amazon. I think one of the biggest changes has been the introduction of what we know today as sponsored products that led to an iteration of other products. And if you think of it, it is in many ways very similar to search engines, where platforms allow brands the ability to promote their products, promote their listings, um, uh, uh, knowing that in order to do that, it's not just about the ability to pay a particular price to show up. It's also knowing that you need to be offering very relevant products to that particular audience. Otherwise, that listing will not show up. And that is a super critical component of it, because going back to the comment around being customer obsessed and focusing on the customer experience, the intent and approach has been, and I believe will continue to be, to make sure that it continues to be an experience that is as good, if not even better, than what a complete organic experience would look like. For brands, I believe that this was also a great success, because it allowed them to have a program, participate in a program that will lead to very direct results that will help them understand their return. Whereas in the past, marketing investments were not necessarily linked to the amount of purchases that particular product or that particular campaign generated. So I think that's really been the big change, the disruption change that has brought many brands to start utilizing and participating in these programs, as they know that, one, it's trusted by shoppers, because it allows the platform allows for only those relevant impressions, relevant listings to show to them. And two, by providing to brands with probably some of the most interesting data points that connect all the way to the purchase signal. So that's
this, Bobby. When I look at my desktop and I'm searching on Amazon, I'm now in a situation where, depending on what category of product I'm looking at, I could realistically have 95% of my screen covered with ads. And actually scrolling down to get to that first organic search result, I have to go through a lot of other products just to get there. And so at some point, I can see why some companies are frustrated, and certainly some consumers may be frustrated by the vast amount of wading through paid search results that you need to get to before you actually get to see what is actually selling well already on Amazon, what already has traction and traffic and bestseller rank. There's a lot of stuff you have to work through before you actually get to see those products. How do you think about this balance of how much is too much paid search up front and how much is an opportunity to present new options to consumers to get them thinking more broadly about their consideration set?
Let me start by saying that I believe that it is important to always continue to focus on what that I'm just going to call it end-to-end experience looks like. And what I mean by that is when a shopper comes to the site to look for a product, the answer, I think the relevant element to focus on is, has the shopper found what they were looking for? And I'm just going to give you kind of a quick anecdotal story. When you go to a physical store, your Albertsons, Walmart, probably most consumers don't realize that every single product that they're seeing on the shelf has already paid money in order to be there.
Yes.
So they're not required to put a label there that says, oh, this product paid for being here, and this product paid for being here. You walk into the store, you see an island of product, someone paid additional money for that product to be there.
Yes.
There is no coincidence that when you walk to the cashier and you see the products right there in the cashier, someone paid to be there. So in a way, the experience is completely the same as what consumers have seen before, and because finding the products that they need was not an instance of them having to decide, well, if this brand is paying to appear here, should that particular product be less important than this other one that didn't pay for it? And the answer is that no. It's just basically the way in which an online platform now is able to present those products. Now, if a product in that, let's just say a search query, if products were to start appearing there that are no longer relevant to that particular experience,
Yes.
then it's a bad experience. It's the equivalent of walking into the water aisle just to find milk there. Well, I know where to find milk. I don't want to find the water here. But if you show me a water bottle as well, like I'm going to go on a camping, I want to have my canister filled with water. Oh, that's an adjacent. That's more relevant to me. And I went too close. Maybe I should have said, water and I don't know, coffee beans or water and baby food. I don't know, but you get the point. So it's the same type of experience, and it's not really about counting how many of these are sponsored by a brand or are paid for versus how many are organic. So that from a consumer perspective, I don't believe it impacts as the experience continues to be an experience that's relevant. Again, you go back to, was the task completed? So a shopper looking for a particular product, did they find the most relevant products in the category? And that's what the platform is what the platform is able to accomplish. Now, from a brand perspective, you mentioned brands can get frustrated by the fact that many of these placements are now paid for. Well, it's the same. It's the same that happens when you go and try to sell your products anywhere else.
Yes.
Hey, if you want to be in the catalog, well, you're going to have to negotiate certain terms that most necessarily mean you're going to have to pay some fees. And if you're going to want to have any kind of placement that you believe will improve the odds of your brand being purchased, then you're going to have to pay for them. So I believe that really what's happening today is more of how can brands effectively deal through that transition, and what are the kind of tools and insights and partner teams that they need to work with in order to manage the understanding and ongoing growth of this particular channel.
Okay, so that's a good transition for me to ask you about Gradient. You left Amazon and you started a software company. What your company does is a little bit unusual. To tell us why you created your company and what it's meant to serve, who it serves, and what ultimately people should be looking for if they end up using your business.
Thank you for the question, James. So Gradient.io, I founded the company in early 2018, and what led me to start Gradient was the insight of all these brands that I had the opportunity of working close with, realizing that with all the sophistication of the platforms, there is still a strong level of data and insights that is not available to any of these brands. When operating with in these marketplaces, and I'm not just talking specifically about Amazon, I'm talking about any marketplace that has a platform. It could be a search platform, could be social. These platforms are full of it's algorithms that make the decisions. There's no human behind, kind of on the other side deciding, oh, this is how much I'm going to charge. Yes. This is where I want this brand to show. It's really the work of algorithms, and these algorithms we typically refer to them as black boxes. So for a brand to be successful, and this goes back all the way to my years at Procter & Gamble. One of the first things that you learn as you understand how to drive success for your brand is how presence at a point of purchase is a leading indicator to your sales. In the physical world, companies will contract out teams that basically bring all that information of what's happening at that point of purchase. They will tell you where your product is being shown, what are the products that being that you see on the shelves, what are the competitors that are showing next to you.
Yes.
When you go into into an online marketplace, into an e-commerce platform, that having that information becomes really hard to get. First, because depending on how shoppers are looking for the products, the results could be completely different. And and there is what the last number was, it's over 600 million products that exist on the catalog just in the US. So think about how can you make sense of all of that information? Every day you hear about new brands entering the marketplace. Amazon in particular has made it super easy for brands to start their business, as they help provide with lots of services. So how, as a brand, can you keep up with the dynamic of this space? So that was the problem that I sought to solve through Gradient. And the kind of the focus of what we do is machine learning. So through machine learning, having the ability to create ways in which brands can better understand what this digital shelf would look like, and make the recommendations to help them be successful. Late last year, we released the first ML scoring for brands. So the feedback that we heard from many of these brands was, how can we summarize a starting point for me? And the way we thought about it was, can we develop a universal scoring mechanism that will allow brands to understand their holistic health? In other industries, for instance, in the credit industry, FICO score is a great example of a metric that allows consumers as well as companies to understand what is the health of your credit. So we use a very similar approach, where we have a metric that basically allows every single brand to understand how well they're doing. It's a score then that gets decomposed into helping brands think about how well are they showing their products in the experience. If a brand is showing well, that will lead to more product page visits. How well is the quality of those pages? If those pages are doing very well, it leads to more add to carts. How well are other shoppers reacting to your product once they purchase it? And that is a big contributor for shoppers to ultimately make the buying decision. So in many ways, our score is this end-to-end representation of how brands go through the funnel within e-commerce, all the way from being discovered to being purchased.
So what are the types of tactical decisions that you see brands using if they're looking at the data that you provide them? What are the insights that you'd like them to be taking away? And I guess the second part of the question is, what are the types of insights that today they're not taking enough away, and quite frankly, they're leaving opportunity to make their businesses better because they're not thinking about how to use that data to better inform their business?
Great question. So I would say that there's basically three broad buckets. The first one is as I was mentioning, presence, being the most important leading indicator to sales. And in very simple terms, what I mean by that is, if a brand doesn't show up when a shopper is looking for products in your category, it's guaranteed you will not get any sales at all. So the first thing is helping brands understand, where are they showing? What is the context of when they are being shown? As you can tell from the experience today in Amazon, presence is not just driven by search results. When you are exploring products in their particular product pages, you will have opportunities to see other brands as well. Customers that purchase this also purchase that. Customers that have seen these products also have seen these other products. These are sponsored products relative to this particular product. There is a large number of areas where brands will get exposure. So first of all, understanding where, when, and next to which brands your brand is showing up will help brands make better decisions for understanding, one, how they're appearing organically, and two, where are the opportunities for driving more of those paid impressions. once they're able to start being visible to the right audience, to the right audiences, the second big thing that we help, that our insights help with, is what are the things about their product pages that can help them improve both their organic and paid presence,
Yes.
but also in helping them get successful conversions to add to cart. And this can be things like recommendations on their titles and descriptions. Our system creates a universe of keywords that are relevant to every single category. And by doing that, we help understand brands what are the most important signals, in this case, keywords and phrases, that help drive the relevance of products in that particular category. So many brands, you will not believe it, have so deficient pages in the way they've written their product names, the descriptions, the type of media that they utilize, the lack of utilizing better layouts like A+ pages. So our engine is basically provides the recommendations to help those brands improve those pages. And lastly, as it relates to how other shoppers are reacting to your products, we help them better understand what is the rate of those positive reviews, the velocity of them, velocity of negative reviews. How does it compare with other brands? How often do shoppers provide feedback? So this is the kind of early stage of how we're helping brands better understand all three components. We believe there's many more signals that we can help. And just to give you a sense of breadth, like how deep do we go? Today, for every single product that we observe, we're looking at over 100 different variables that are then part of all of these three components that we provide a score for. So if you basically do the math, it's over 100 points times hundreds of products in any given brand, and in many cases even thousands of products within a given category. It becomes a very complex system that through the platforms like what we have, we're able to basically provide real-time information on all of these elements, as well as the generation of recommendations to help improve them. So that's kind of in a nutshell what the gradient score signals, and kind of some practical examples for how our platform helps brands.
So let me ask you this, Bobby. One of the unusual aspects of the Amazon platform is the huge number of Me Too brands that show up. And let's imagine you're a big national brand. You're looking at the Amazon channel, and quite frankly, the hyper-competitive pressures available where, yes, there's basically infinite shelf space on Amazon, but there's still only one page of first-page results. And so I'd love your thoughts on how do national brands need to think about what they're doing in order to be able to win in an Amazon channel where there is, well, next to no barriers to entry for new brands to come in and try and nibble away at the market opportunity?
Well, I think that not just national brands, I think all brands are on equal terms. And that's really the difference here. You have the ability to enter the market in similar ways. And the way to basically think about winning in the channel is how to effectively connect with these shoppers in the platform.
Yes.
I believe it becomes also an opportunity for brands, again, of all sizes and of all kind of geographic coverages, to be able to start driving a penetration into these generations that are now shopping online. I mean, there's a higher concentration of younger generations that do more of their shopping online than they do it offline. I personally believe that we'll continue to see both online and offline purchasing. But for national brands that have historically sold in kind of confined environments where there's a limited amount of inventory, a limited amount of brands, what they need to embrace is the ability of working with new technology and new teams that have the expertise to understand these dynamics. So yes, instead of being 10 brands that you have to compete against, now you're probably going to be competing against 100. So it is at least an order of magnitude difference. And in order to manage that, you cannot be monitoring your experience on a monthly basis like you used to.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be monitoring your experience on a daily basis. You need to be able to have those signals to look at how's your business changing today, how is it different from yesterday, what are the new brands that are coming in, the new brands that are coming out. Is this creating more pressure points or opportunities for the types of products that as a national brand you have? Have you been slow to develop new variations of your product that are actually picking up velocity with these audiences? Do you need to innovate on how you package your products, the counts, the pricing? So it's sometimes it's thought as, oh, I don't really have that many levers, and the platform decides if I show up or not. No, there are indeed a lot of levers, and that go beyond just the do I advertise or not. It has to do with making sure that you have developed the right product for the right category, for the right audiences. To do that, it helps having much better understanding of what those audiences like, what they don't like, what are the what's the competitive landscape like, so that you can help, so that you can become as nimble as many of the other brands that exist now and kind of new to this channel, and compete effectively.
Bobby, I want to change gears here. I want to talk with you about your early days working with brands. At what point did you realize you were good at helping brands to think about their online business, thinking about what they needed to do to be successful? We've all been through the situation where we're young and we think we don't know anything, and then all of a sudden there comes a point where we say, you know what, I'm actually pretty good at this little piece over here. What was that turning point for you?
In terms of helping brands succeed, it really goes back to my early days at Microsoft, and then at Google and Yahoo. So I've been in this business for over 20 years now, and for me, it's always been what are the opportunities in which through technology brands could be able to connect in much more meaningful ways with consumers. And that's really the premise that I saw in the super early 2000s when I started this journey, after having worked as a brand manager, and having grasped an understanding of how you drive those connections and build brands through the offline traditional methods. It was, we have the opportunity now to utilize technology to help these brands connect in a much better way. And it was, that's always been the underlying premise that I've been operating under through the last couple of decades. Applying it now into e-commerce, of course, because that's I believe still a very nascent area. A stat that I like to remind people is that sales happening through e-commerce still represent less than 10% of total sales. Yeah. So for many brands, this is I would want to say they're not paying, particularly brands that have that are big already, that have grown their business outside of e-commerce. They look at e-commerce as, hey, you know what? This is a very small portion of our business deal. Why should we putting so much attention to it? And it's a typical. I think it leads the way to becoming a typical disruption moment, where for brands that don't have that business, haven't developed their sales in a through traditional channels, and are all focused on e-commerce. They're the 100%, 90% of their sales is what they sell through e-commerce. So wonder how much attention they're going to put to that particular channel.
Yes.
90 to 100% of it. And that's, I think, one of the major things that I believe for national brands, they need to treat this channel not as the smallest part of their entire business. It's the next biggest channel that they could potentially have within the next 5 to 10 years.
As you have become a small business owner and you've had to go out on your own and do things, as you think they're the right way to go and build your business, what is some of the best advice that your mentors professionally have given you as you think about how to continue to be an entrepreneur and a small business owner?
First of all, it's been a phenomenal experience, and I've managed teams of thousands of people, and I always go back to growing up. I grew up in a small company environment. My parents had their own business, and I remember ever since being 12 years old until I graduated from college. I was there helping build this business, and it's I've learned a lot from both of my parents. One of the main things is in believing in what you're working on, believing in your own idea, and bringing with you people that you can trust, that they believe as well in the same idea, but that trust and are very good at what they do, so that you can learn from them as well. So I think this, it's not just in building my own business, but also through my career. It's been a two pieces of advice that I've always utilized. Results don't happen just because you have an idea. You need teammates and teamwork to be able to do this. So I've always been super humbled by the people that I've had the chance to recruit and work with them, and being able to create a vision and kind of push it hard and be very passionate about it. I think the most important part has been by hiring this group of people, it's just being able to be very agile. I tell my team, I'd much rather get to the wrong outcome fast than not execute on anything, because we fear that we may not be going on the right direction. So by acting fast and failing fast, I think we're able to learn more, and learn quicker and adjust quicker. I don't necessarily believe in a 3-year plan, as things keep changing, particularly when you're managing a small business. Your plans get adjusted on a daily and weekly basis. Yes. But it's I think because of the ability of learning and using those learnings right away to keep moving. So those are, like I said, some of the great mentorship that I've gotten from my parents, as well from many of the people that I had the luck of working for and working with during my years.
Bobby, I want to thank you today for joining us. For those of you who are interested in learning more about Bobby's organization, please visit gradient.io. That's it for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening to the BuyBox Experts podcast. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web, and we'll see you next time.